Hi guys, and welcome to my best new manga of 2017 video. Over my absence from YouTube, I've gotten really into manga, and this year there was a lot of new manga that I really enjoyed and really loved, along with a lot of new volumes and series that I love. But I thought it would be fun to do a separate video from my best books of 2017 that was for the new manga that was out this year that I loved. First up is Kigurumi Guardians. Now, this one I was expecting certain things from, but it blew me away with my expectations. Expect it to be a little bit ridiculous, because it is. So we have Hacker who comes home from school one day and there's this dude dressed up in a Kigurumi costume chilling in her house. Turns out she's been chosen to work with this strange dude in the Kigurumi costume, also known as Ginger, to fight against invaders from another dimension and save the world. It's really cute art. The story is fast paced, it's cute. May or may not be some romance, I'm not sure yet. It's a little bit ridiculous, I'm not going to lie to you guys, it is a little bit ridiculous, but it's also pretty hilarious as well. Hacker is relatable, so are the other characters, we kind of learn more about them as we go along. The world is intriguing, there's a lot of mysteries involving the Kigurumi and these strange invaders. There's a lot of questions that we still need to know the answers to. Waiting for Spring. This is one of the sweetest manga I've ever read. It literally is full of fluff along with a little bit of drama and literally picks my mood up so much when I read it. It's so cute. Mitsuki, who's very shy and she's just starting high school, and she decides that this is going to be the time that she kind of comes out of her shell, and she's determined to make friends that she wasn't quite picturing making friends with 4 of the stars of the basketball team. And it's funny, it's addictive, there's like literally there's romance, there's little fluffy moments, there's some drama. The basketball scenes are drawn really well as well, just FYI. And I know nothing about basketball or drawing, but I think they're drawn really well. Next up is The Royal Tutor. I completely and utterly loved the anime for this. It wasn't quite what I was expecting, and I got drawn into it a lot more than I was expecting to. We have Haina, who is hired to be the royal tutor by the king. The princes aren't as enthused as their father about having this new royal tutor, and Hein's job is definitely not easy. I have to say the art in this is completely gorgeous, and it has all these like decadent little details to it. The world, I think, is inspired by Vienna. I've got Licht, I think you say it Licht, Lihi, not sure, Licht. He is the ladies' man, and he's the youngest. You've got Kai, who's kind of mysterious and quiet. You've got Bruno, who's the brain box, and then you've got Leonard, or Leonhard as they say it in the anime, who is the athletic one and the one who least wants to study, and he's also really relatable. I mean, they're all relatable for different reasons. I'm kind of more of a fantasy action adventure manga person, so I'm surprised how much I like The Royal Tutor. Volume 4. I'm on volume 4 of it now, and that's when it's kind of started to break away from the anime a bit, in case you were wondering. Even volume 3 and the ones that still have anime content do still have some separate stuff, so I would recommend reading all of them. There's 7 Princes of the ThousandYear Labyrinth. This is only going to have 4 volumes. I have volumes 3 and 4 sitting on my shelf waiting for me to read them, but I still haven't gotten to it yet. This is another one with really nice art with those kind of like rich decadent little touches. You and our main character wakes up and he finds himself in this strange place which turns out to be a labyrinth. But not just any labyrinth, it's the ThousandYear Labyrinth. He's not alone, there are some other people in there too, and they're all candidates to become the new emperor, but only one can become emperor, and if they can't pick one, then the title will fall to the last man standing. As they journey around the labyrinth, there are puzzles, trials, and all these kind of situations that they need to get out of, and they all have to work together. Turns out to all mimic an old legend. Art is pretty, the story is intriguing, there's a nice mystery element to it. It really keeps me on my toes as I'm reading to it. Next up is Rokka, Braves of the 6 Flowers. Holding the light novel in my hand, which is the first volume of the light novel. The manga is 4 volumes long and encompasses the entire first volume of the light novel, but I'm going to recommend the light novel to you guys, as well as the manga, because the light novel is really, really good. I feel like I need to explain this in like a foreboding, ominous kind of voice. When the world is threatened with destruction, 6 heroes will rise to save it, and our main character Adlet is one of them. But when he answers the call to assemble with all of the others, it turns out that there are actually 7 of them, not 6. Meaning there is a traitor among them, and they need to work out who it is. That is the synopsis for the first volume and the first 4 volumes of the manga. There's literally only 4 volumes. I'm not sure if they're going to carry it on. Literally completely brilliant. It's such a good series. There is literally such a good mystery element to it. There's so many plot twists and turns. I never know what's going to happen next. I never worked out who the traitor in this one was, and in the current volumes I still can't work out who it is. I seriously still can't work out who it is. Unless it's a character that I really don't want it to be. Like one of my favourite characters, but I mean, I guess we'll see. Characters are interesting, their interactions are interesting, they're an interesting bunch. Hans is my favourite. Hans the Thief is definitely my favourite. The distrust and tension is most definitely palpable in this series, but it is literally so good, and if you do like light novels, I recommend reading that as well as the manga. And if you do read the manga, you're probably going to end up wanting to read the light novel anyway, because the manga ends on a cliffhanger just like the first volume of the light novel does. Just forewarning you all. Next up is Ghost Diary, a young exorcist who's searching for his sister who disappeared 6 years previously. All she left behind was a mysterious notebook filled with secrets for hunting ghosts, and he's kind of armed with that as he goes searching for her, and an old friend of his sister shows up to help too. Pretty cover. So there's a monster of chapter thing going on. Some of them are creepy, some of them are gross. They're all entertaining, there's humour, the mysteries are really well done too. Plenty of creepiness too, believe me, there is literally plenty of creepiness. There are some completely brilliant horror movie and urban legend references and kind of like little Easter eggs and stuff where stuff pops up and you're reading and it's like, oh my god, no you didn't. Like literally, it's so good. A really fun but odd bunch of main characters. You've got the main character who can see ghosts, the son of a detective who for some reason dresses a bit like Sherlock Holmes, a girl who has an imaginary friend, a skeptic, and you have the genius son of a gangster. They make for a really interesting bunch of characters for sure. Next up is the case study of Anytus, which is hands down one of my favourite manga of the year. Hands down. I love anything steampunk, but this literally goes above and beyond. It's literally, oh my god, we're going to get to that in a minute. Vampires, steampunk vampires. Noe is trying to save his friend and he arrives in Paris following the rumours of the Book of Anytus. It's a grimoire that may or may not help his friend. Unfortunately for him, Anytus comes to him rather helpfully. Unfortunately for him, he gets drawn into a conflict that can threaten the peace between humans and vampires. I'm holding back here. I'm holding back here from raving. The art in this is amazing. It is stunning, it's detailed, it's so well done. I love the art, the covers and the colour pages are amazing. The story is entertaining and engaging. Left wanting more after every chapter, let alone every volume. The characters are lively and entertaining. I love watching the interactions between Noe and Anytus, and there's new characters being brought in all the time. It's just a really rich, decadent manga, that's literally all I can say about it. Next up is Frau Faust. This focuses on the real Faust, who turns out to be a charismatic, bespectacled woman, and she is on a mission to collect the various scattered pieces of her demon Mephisto, or Mephi as he is sometimes known. Makes him less terrifying probably. I really get like a fairy tale vibe to the storytelling for this manga, which makes it stand out to me. Entertaining, it provides plenty of intrigue and backstory. I have so many questions about Faust and Mephisto and how they met and how they know each other and their relationship and everything. The art's enjoyable, there's a nice pace. The series in general has grabbed my attention and I just found myself really enjoying myself as I was reading this. The only thing I will say about it is that there is a bonus story that from what I can tell has no bearing whatsoever on the main story, and I'm not sure why it was included, which made me kind of mark it down a little bit when I reviewed it. Next up is Akashic Records of Bastard Magic Instructor. I nearly DNF'd the anime at like the 2nd or 3rd episode because I was kind of like, what is this? What's going on? And you know what? I can't be bothered. I obviously ended up having nothing better to do than force myself to watch anime, so I ended up carrying on and persisting with it, and while it does have its questionable moments, and it certainly has plenty of fan service, I ended up really loving the anime and wanting to know what happened next, so of course I had to pick up the manga. Sisti, who is a magic user, she's at this prestigious academy to learn all about magic and how to use it. She hopes to be trained by the best, she has a goal in mind. Unfortunately for her, her instructor is replaced with Glenn. Good old Glenn Radars, who is... How do I put this? He's lazy, he's incompetent, and he's forever late, which, you know, I can relate to that. Fair play. But he is pretty incompetent. Or is he? That's what you have to ask. I really find the characters to be relatable on various different levels depending on which character it is. The manga is fun, it's entertaining, it's a little bit silly at points. There's a really good mystery to it though with the Sky Castle and with Glenn, and who is Glenn? Where is he from? what is his deal? I know because I've watched the anime, but when you read the manga, it's kind of like... Basically, I'm kind of just biding my time with Akashic, waiting for the manga to go past the anime. Angels of Death, which I've been intrigued by for months now before it came out. Rachel, who wakes up in this strange place, this strange building, all we know is that she went for counselling and now she's in this strange building. It has a very game-like setup. Each floor has a serial killer on it, and obviously she has to go floor by floor to get out. I think I've read somewhere that that is actually a manga adaptation of a game, which would explain the game-like setting. Duh. I have to say, the art for this one is oddly cute considering, you know, the creepiness, the serial killers, and the murder. It's kind of an odd but interesting contrast between the two. It was creepy. I was intrigued. I wanted to know why Rachel was there. What is Rachel's deal? Who is in charge of this whole thing? I ended up being really pulled into it. It's super creepy in general, but I have to say Dr. Danny is literally so creepy, and it was one of those moments where you're screaming at the main character like, it's a trap, dude, seriously. Because he was so creepy, but she was completely oblivious, and I was just like, hello, this is why you're going to get murdered. How are you still alive? He had an eye thing, and honestly, it made me kind of just like, my eye was like twitching because he was like going for the eyes, and oh my god, I can't even explain to you how creepy it was. Oh my god, literally, oh my god, I shudder, I shudder. He just screams crazy killer and she's oblivious, and I was literally so tense reading it, and my eye was twitching because he has an eye thing and it's creepy. Rachel ends up being pretty creepy herself, but I am intrigued by her. I'm also intrigued by Zach, who is our other main character. He's your average bandage covered psycho serial killer slasher person who likes slashing things. It's the awkward moment where he's less creepy than Dr. Danny, to be honest. He and Rachel kind of end up teaming up to try and get out, and I'm interested to see how they're going to work well together, and I'm kind of excited to see what killers are on what floors, because this has the potential to be a lot of fun. Next up is Magical Girl Raising Project. We feel like this is a really good manga adaptation of the light novel. You can play a phone game where you're a magical girl, and if you're lucky, you end up getting to be a magical girl in real life, which is all fun and games until it turns out there are too many magical girls and the higher-ups decide it's time to cull half of them. Which, you know, fair play, some of them are kind of quite down with retiring and they don't really mind, until it turns out that retirement means you die. This is again another manga that has really cute, pretty art, but really dark subject matter with like a lot of blood and gore, and it's a contrast. I don't usually do the magical girl thing. I'm not really a magical girl person, but I was intrigued by this one because it sounded quite dark, and it is. It's literally like dark magical girls. Honestly, so good, it pulls you in. There's a fast pace, plenty of action throughout the volume. There's a nice mystery element. There's multiple plot threads you kind of have to untangle. There are definitely a lot of magical girls in this series that are quite frankly just plain unhinged. You've got psycho ones, you've got unhinged ones. You've got one that's kind of annoying because she's kind of like, which, you know, fair play, I understand that, but still it's annoying after a point. And then you've got ones that are just kind of just a little bit strange, really. Yes, there's magic, yes, there's cuteness, yes, there's action, but it's also dark, it's bloody as the girls swiftly end up turning on each other, and it gets quite cutthroat. The best way to describe this is the Hunger Games Magical Girl edition. If you read the light novel, you hit volume 2 of the light novel, and it's more like Sword Art Online Magical Girl edition with death, added death. I just dropped that horrendously. The final manga on my list is A Terrified Teacher at Ghoul School. So I kind of don't usually do the whole school life ones, but that one intrigued me because, you know, Ghoul School, Yoki, Haruaki, who apparently, according to the synopsis, wouldn't say boo to a goose. His first teaching job doesn't go well, but he gets offered this job at this allegedly prestigious school, and he's kind of excited for a second chance. It all seems like everything's going great for him until he finds out his students are ghosts, ghouls, and pretty much everything that goes bump in the night, and everything he hates and is terrified of. He's quite clearly going to have a good time. I kind of felt for Haruaki a little bit because, I mean, it must have been pretty terrifying, but he was hilariously cowardly. This is one of those series that's a little bit ridiculous, but it's entertaining and funny too, so you'll let it off. These 4 students who kind of end up being around him a lot and kind of interact with him a lot, and they're all fun, they're interesting. There's more students to find out about. Some of the other teachers are a little bit shady. There's a really nice plot twist with Haruaki that I'm hoping is going to have more of a bigger role to play. A really nice amount of information on Yoki and all the different types, which quite frankly I am a sucker for. I love that kind of thing. Yeah, this should be a nice fun little supernatural series. So those are the new manga for 2017 that I thought were the best and that I completely loved. I hope you guys will check some of them out. They're all really good. I pinky swear. Pinky swear. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Follow me, all of my links will be down below. And I'll see you guys soon.